You've seen it happen. Maybe you've done it yourself. Someone goes through something hard, a bad week, a breakup, a job falling apart, and instead of reaching out, instead of calling someone, instead of asking for help, they just vanish. No texts, no posts, no explanation. And the people around them are left wondering, did I do something wrong? Are they okay? Why do they always pull away? Here's what's strange. The people who disappear the most, they're often not cold people. They're not antisocial. They're not broken. In fact, they're usually the ones who care the most. The ones who feel everything a little too deeply. So why do they go quiet exactly when the world expects them to reach out? The answer isn't what most people think. Picture this. You're overwhelmed. Work is stacking up. Your relationships feel complicated. Your mind is running at 1,000 miles an hour. And someone texts you, "Hey, we should catch up soon." And you look at that message and you just can't. Not because you don't like them, not because you're ungrateful, but because the idea of explaining how you're doing, of performing okayness for someone who might not really understand, feels more exhausting than facing the problem alone. Psychologists call this social withdrawal under stress, and it's more common than anyone talks about. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone withdraws the same way. Some people run toward others when things fall apart, and some people run inward. And that difference, that split, it's not random. It goes back further than most people realize. There's a concept in psychology called attachment style. And if you grew up in a home where emotions were complicated, where asking for help felt risky, or where being vulnerable was sometimes met with dismissal, your nervous system learned something early on. It learned that safety lives inside of you, not outside. So when stress hits in adulthood, that old wiring kicks in. Not because you're choosing to isolate, but because isolation at some point in your life was the safest option you had. And your brain never fully forgot that. Here's what nobody tells you. The coping strategy that protected you as a kid can become the cage that traps you as an adult. And the people who disappear under stress, a lot of them aren't even conscious they're doing it. They don't wake up and think, I'll push everyone away today. They just get quiet. They redirect. They focus on fixing. And slowly, without meaning to, they've put a wall between themselves and everyone who loves them. But that's not the real reason it keeps happening. Think about the kind of person who tends to withdraw. Really think about it. They're usually the person in the room who's thinking 3 steps ahead. They notice things others miss. They feel undercurrents in conversations. They can sense when something's off, even before they can name it. And when stress hits, that same brain, the one that notices everything, goes into overdrive. Research on high sensitivity and stress response don't just experience stress, they process it more intensely. The same brain that makes them empathetic, creative, and deeply perceptive is also the brain that gets completely flooded when life gets hard. And when you're flooded, every conversation feels like a demand. Every question, even a caring one, feels like one more thing to manage. So the mind does the only logical thing it knows how to do. It retreats. It goes somewhere quiet, somewhere it can finally think. And this is where things change. There was a researcher named Ester Buchholz, a psychologist who spent decades studying something almost no one in her field wanted to talk about. At the time, psychology was obsessed with attachment, with bonding, with togetherness. The message everywhere was simple. Connection is survival. And she didn't disagree. But she asked a question nobody else was asking. What about the need to be alone? Her work found that solitude isn't the opposite of connection. It's actually the condition that makes real connection possible. That the mind needs periods of inward quiet, not to escape life, but to metabolize it, to take everything that's happened and actually make sense of it. She called it the alone drive.
As fundamental to human well-being as the need to belong. Think about what that means. When someone you love disappears during stress, they're not abandoning the relationship. On some deep biological level, they're doing exactly what their mind needs to do to come back as a whole person. The problem is, no one on the outside can see that. All the people who care about them see is a closed door, silence, absence. And that absence, over time, starts to feel like rejection, like distance, like maybe they don't need me. And here's where most people misunderstand this. The person who disappeared, they're not feeling free in there. They're not relieved. They're often sitting alone, completely overwhelmed, desperately wishing someone could understand them without them having to explain themselves. They want connection. They just don't know how to ask for it without feeling like a burden. They're not disappearing because they don't love you. They're disappearing because somewhere along the way, they learned that love and burden were the same thing. And unlearning that, really unlearning it, might be the most important work any of us ever do. If this hit differently than you expected, share it with someone who tends to go quiet. Sometimes understanding is the only door that was ever locked. And if you want to go deeper on the psychology of how we protect ourselves from the people we love most, the next video is already waiting for you.